$15 skull mask. Must be Valentine's Day. So this is mostly going to be voiceover. I just want to talk you guys through this process. So this is EVA foam, obviously. It's a floor mat from Harbor Freight. And the whole concept of this mask is I really like the Angel of Death that Norm Cabrera did for Hellboy 2, I think it was. And it's just beautiful to look at. It's a wonderful design. You should check that out. That inspired me to make this Valentine's Day monster mask. I am using the EVA foam to make a heart. And if you see, I bevel cut those on a 45 so that when they go together, they're going to kind of form a ridge up front. And I just sort of sized that up to the face. I want to cut away so the nose and the teeth of the skull show up. And I'm also cutting these at a bevel because just like when you carve a pumpkin, I want you to see the edge and the thickness of the heart. Yeah. And then a lot of this design is just, I'm winging it. I know I want it to be a heart. Boy, oh boy, do I love that drill bit. That is a stepper bit, and it works pretty darn great in EVA foam. And I'm drilling those holes in at an angle to kind of give me a little bit of a bump up on texturing. And now I have the Dremel out with a sander head on it, and I'm dragging those holes that I cut out just to add that more bit of texture. And now I'm dremeling all the edges so they're smooth. A cut edge just looks weird. Now I'm going through on the back side of those holes, and I'm beveling the back side also, because that'll give me a better angle of vision. And that's the very tip of the heart that I separated, and that will attach to the chin of the mask. I am using weldwood contact cement, and I have attached it to the mask and the EVA foam, both. Always test fit your masks, kids. You want to make sure it's comfortable, you want to make sure the vision is good, and that worked out really well. I am now coating all of the EVA foam in weldwood contact cement. That's just going to make it paint a little bit easier. It's going to be a sealer. I don't mind it giving a little bit of texture. I'm even kind of boiling it with the heat gun in order to get a little more texture on there. This is spray adhesive. It's high strength 90, and it goes on thick and kind of cobwebby. I'm just using that heat gun to dry it. And I like the shape of it, and let's start painting. So this is me blacking out most of it. This is latex mask paint. It is 1/3 casting latex, 1/3 latex house paint from Home Depot, and 1/3 distilled water. It'll be on my website for sale very shortly at stiltbeaststudios.com. And I'm painting red, of course, onto the heart. And that red will darken as it dries. And this is just like a fatty color that I made up. It's just white and yellow mixed together. And I'm just doing some striations in order to variegate that heart a little bit and make it look a little different. Both of those colors are going to darken as they dry, and I just think that's a nice heart look. And I'm using the heat gun in between. You want to be careful with the heat gun. You don't want to burn anything, but as a speed dry, maybe a hair dryer is better. So this is a gray. Of course, the focal point here is the heart and the mouth, the skull mouth. So really, the whole rest of the mask, I'm just going to keep it pretty simple. And I'm hand painting, again, just some little striations on there with a lighter color for some contrast and some interest. putting a little color on that skull and those bones. And now I'm going in and I'm dry brushing the mandible and maxilla and those teeth. And I'm going to bring those teeth up even more with an osteo white color. And then I'm highlighting that ridge and that thickness that I cut off with a pink color. And I do a little bit around the edges, but I kind of dab that down too to make it not so bright. The heat gun, again, to dry. And now I'm really popping those bones. But I'm also going to calm all those bones down with a black wash. Eventually. And here's a little purple. I put a little bit of purple here on the neck and the meaty areas in between the bones. And now I have a hot glue gun with black hot glue sticks. I'm going over the EVA foam heart, and I'm putting some big veining on there. This is a nice 3D texture, and it just adds a little more depth to my work here. That is a special kind of hot glue that sticks well to EVA foam, but pretty much any hot glue will do. And then I'm painting over that with a red, and because hot glue is vinyl, it does not actually paint very well, which is the plan. You know, I kind of want it to look a little bit, I want that black to show through. I think that this, while this is a heart-shaped thing, it's kind of a diseased and broken heart. And that's all part of it, putting the textures on there that make people uncomfortable. All right, I've moved him over to the airbrush station, and this is a alcohol-based ink. I use Pinata inks, and I pumped that up again with red, and that ink dries nice and glossy. Now I have black Pinata ink in a Pache H, and I'm going in and I'm adding some shading and some details, outlining those neck bones, just giving some good shadow. Now there's that black wash that I was talking about, and that is actually just latex mask paint with a lot of water added to it. It's very watery, and then I kind of sponge it off, but it stays down in the thick areas, and it just gives a little bit of a stain. This is clear gloss. This is my favorite gloss to use. It is actually clear gloss varnish from Liquitex. Heat gunning that. I did a little bit more texture with the Super 77. Heat gunning that, getting it all dry. Very happy with how this guy turned out. And I just left this shot a little bit long so you can kind of see and look at detail and whatnot. The Dremel did a lot of good detailing on there. And yeah, so I wanted to show you guys this in a good, real light. This is what you'd see it kind of in the haunt setting. And I think it just turned out great. The heart reads and the teeth read. And now you should go make stuff. These are my awesome patrons on Patreon. And all these videos are thanks to them. Thank you guys so much for supporting me on Patreon. Not it. Not it.